Just the Nitro Circus Rednek. I haven't listened to any of your podcasts.
Of course not.
$13,000 and half of it was Harbor Freight.
Hell yeah,
Buy the whole store.
Well, we're going to go celebrate with some cream sodas and get screwed up like a cricket in a hubcap.
Are you getting a tattoo before you leave Shreveport?
No. I guarantee you there's 150 miles of Dukes of Hazzard.
Yep, scared money don't make money.
And 3, 2.
All right, here we go, and welcome back to another episode of Checkers or Wreckers, and this is a special episode. Surprisingly, we have a special guest this week. And so starting with my right, I'm going to introduce everybody. We've got reigning champion, bringing about the world champion belt, Dustin Henderson.
3 weeks in a row.
Holding it down.
Yeah, holding it down.
To my left, we got Quinton Daniels, always helping host out in here. Warranty killer owner, doing big things. But the special guest for this show, my man, America's favorite redneck or everyone's favorite redneck?
The term I've been given is everyone's favorite redneck.
It's not just America. He is international. It's everyone's favorite redneck.
That is a bold statement right there.
That's a big claim.
I didn't make it.
Mr. Nitro Circus, Mr. Steal Your Girl,
Just the Nitro Circus Rednek.
Hubert Rowland. Stepping into the studio with us, busting beats and freaking showing up late, if I do say so.
Why do you say late? Who said
Y'all
late?
left
I didn't
it?
have a time.
Y'all left at the same time, and we were just trying to figure out if you got lost.
We left at the same time on a 3-hour drive, and you were an hour behind me when I got here.
Well, first of all, how were you even talking? Like, you didn't know I was coming.
Yeah, I did. I know everything.
There are no secrets in this world.
We've been planning this for a couple of weeks now.
We literally tricked
Said
you.
they were
into
going to
this.
rope you.
I
into
told
it.
you when we left, I run 70 miles an hour.
I don't think it's no secret. Two things that I know about you, and probably most people do, is A, you don't break the speed limit. You take your time when you're pulling a trailer. And B, you're very particular about where your vehicles get parked.
True and true.
Okay.
I go 70 because that's where the best gas mileage is. I'm all about them MPGs.
Fair enough.
And, I mean, you saw that in the desert racing.
Yeah.
I mean, we went, what was it, Silver State 300, y'all were stopping for gas, and I did the whole thing on one tank.
And he only had a stock fuel cell in there. It was
Well-
like 300 miles on a stock fuel tank.
Well,
I didn't know you raced that race.
Yeah, that was
did?
a couple years ago. It had a 30-gallon tank on it, and I went the whole thing on one tank.
Dude was getting 10 miles a gallon. We average 5.5 miles a gallon in a race, and he's getting 10 miles a gallon.
I could have done the King of the Hammers on a tank and a half.
Did you race King of the Hammers this year?
Of course. Where were you?
Sleeping. Resting.
Sounds about right.
No, I was
Sounds
actually-
about right.
I was actually snowboarding.
So obviously the gas mileage is why you drive the speed limit. But you're really particular about where you leave your vehicles.
Yes, extremely particular about where I leave my vehicles. Of course, gas mileage, that's money. And unfortunately, I'm not made out of money.
Yeah.
I wish I was. I
Yeah.
would sell fingers and whatever else, whatever you don't really need. But yeah, I'm not made of money, so we go the best gas mileage we can, less stress on the truck. Even though I got a new truck this year,
Yeah,
I really
you did.
really bit the bullet and bought a truck, and really never thought in my life I'd buy a new truck.
Fancy
It's sweet
one.
too. I synced it.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. Well, so is the payment. So
A fancy one, though, a new F450.
a 450 Platinum.
And he went big dog.
I didn't really do that, but I think the dealer kind of set me up. And we're friends with the dealer, and they're like, yeah, this is the only dually we have out of 15.
Of course.
They hit all
Of course.
Out of 15 stores. I was like, wait a minute. How does that work?
Told Hubert, the only one we got is this $85,000.
Yeah.
It's the last one. If you want it, you got to take it now.
Yeah, and it was at the end of the year, and I was like, all right, well, I've got some other stuff, other trucks, stuff I need to sell. Can I come back on Friday? They was like, oh, it's leaving today, whether you take it or not. And I'm like,
They got you on that one.
Oh, yeah.
okay, I
A
guess.
strong arm if I ever seen one.
Yeah, yeah, I was definitely strong arm, but they cut me a hell of a deal, and I got a good truck that I don't have to think about when I'm driving, just drive it.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
other truck had 318,000 miles on it,
Bro, he
Ain't
gets,
nothing we keep to 318,000 miles.
and I mean it was a Ram. It was still an original transmission. It drove nice, it ran good, but it was on the borderline of like, if something catastrophic goes bad, it's half the value of the truck.
Yeah.
and therefore I'm going to have to keep it until I'm 80.
Yeah, so it wasn't worth putting more money into. It was time to let it go.
No, I let it go, and they were super happy with it. And I had some other machines and parts and whatever else, and had a little yard sale around the house.
What you talking about? You was trading him like old side-by-side parts on the
Like
truck?
Facebook Marketplace.
Bro, I've got this hub. Like it's
I had
seen one race.
I had like 15 used tires. I had used wheels with scrapes in them.
What kind of dealership are you trading
Were
in
you
at?
at a Mexican tire shop?
It's all stock takeoff stuff. And I mean, those are big money if you find the right people. So yeah, that's the two main reasons. And the reason I'm picky about where I park it.
Yes.
In 2016, I was riding at Windrock Park, the big spring ride. I come out of the hotel, and my truck and trailer and UTV was gone.
From the hotel parking lot.
Yes, it was gone. It was parked
Everything?
Yes, everything gone. Like, I parked it here, and it's not there. So I went back inside and told the lady, I was like, where in the world is my truck?
Uh-huh.
She's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I parked it right here, and if it's not here, I hope to God y'all towed it, because if you didn't, someone stole it. She said, oh, we don't tow trucks. Are you sure you parked it there? I was like, I don't drink, and I came in at like 9 o'clock.
That was good.
So I know where I parked it, and it was on camera. A guy walked out of the dark at roughly 3:30 in the morning, and in 5 minutes drove away.
Let me ask you this, Hubert. Let me stop you because I learned something on the previous podcast. Did you leave the keys in the truck?
No.
And the doors unlocked with the keys in your girlfriend's purse?
Because that happens.
Yeah, you will get a truck stolen real quick like
No,
that.
I had the keys in my pocket, and the keys to the UTV in my pocket, and all that stuff. And that was a big loss. And it was very unfortunate. I had to call friends I was riding with, and I was like, hey, I need a ride home. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, my truck and trailer just got stolen. They were like, okay, we'll be there to pick you up.
I'll be honest with you. If you listen to our last podcast, you would know you should have just called us. dude.
Had that thing back in 24 hours.
We are so good at recovery on grand theft.
Well, that would be nice. I had Travis and Kim Block and numerous people. It was shared over 1 million times.
Never found it.
They never found it. Crazy thing was that happened in April. In February, I got a call from the detective, said, we found your UTV. And I didn't really believe him. I was like, can you send me pictures? I said, I'm sure you found something.
Yeah.
Probably not my machine, but, we'll go with it. He sent me pictures, and it was it. It still had the Hess steering quickener on it.
Everything the same.
And no, actually,
Spray painted, spray painted black.
Let's speculate.
well, some of the stuff was spray painted back, but so wherever. He told me it was in Newport, Tennessee, which is Cocke County, which is known for chop shops.
What county? What county is it?
Cocke, Cocke County, Tennessee.
I think
Silent E.
that's Coke County, I believe.
Well, whatever. That's what they told me. So I called. I went up there and looked at it. It was at an impound yard. Highway Patrol told me all about it. It was found at the back of a cornfield. Some hunters ran across it. They called it in. It was towed in October, and it wasn't identified until January.
That sounds like my dirt bike.
But they peeled the serial number off the wire harness and got a hold of OEM and matched it back up.
Wow.
So I get there, and this old guy, he was like, okay, well, it's up here and whatever. This guy lives on this property. It's a circle track, a junkyard, a repo yard.
Oh, everything.
All on the mountainside here. And I'm telling him what happened, and I was like, I wonder how many of these cars in your impound yard are stolen. He's like, well, I don't know. I just pick them up. I was like, no, I'm not saying that.
Right.
I wonder. He's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting. So he takes me all the way up to the top of the hill where his house is, and behind this shed is a little grassy area that's gated off for stuff that's like been identified. We get out of the truck, and he said, see that dog right there coming from the house, like kind of trotting our way? I was like, yeah. He said, don't look at him. He'll bite you.
Okay. All right, cool. Don't make eye contact.
I said, excuse me? He's like, just know where he's at, but don't look at him, because if you look at him, he will bite you. He said, he'll bite me.
What on earth?
And we passed like 5 dogs on chains. They're just going crazy. And I said, how on earth does a dog get that mean? He's like, no one touches them ever. And I only feed them, and that's it.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow. Because when 5 o'clock comes, they close the gate and release the hounds. And I was like,
You said don't make eye contact.
I
with
was
the dog.
kind of like watching around this dog. I'm like, what in the world's going on here? But I showed up with a spare key, fired it up, and I said, there it is. They took a large portion of the aftermarket stuff off and put stock stuff back on. So it came with front and rear window now.
Yeah.
A new roof.
Yeah.
Stock cage.
Didn't even have to work on it. Just got in and rode it.
Well, I mean, it didn't have no seats in it and a few other things, but they pulled the wrap, and I took it home, And actually, first he said, "Oh, well, there's a storage charge." I was like, "Well, there was no."
Excuse me.
I was like, "There's no insurance claim on this. This is a total loss." And he's like, "Yeah, it's $3,500."
I say keep it.
I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "It ain't costing you a dime to sit right there because you ain't even mowing the grass around it."
Yeah, so it ain't in your way. You probably
said-
been using it.
I said, "I'm."
Was he feeding them dogs fillets?
Well, if it sat there from October to February,
Yeah.
I mean, it adds up. And I said, "Look, man," I said, "I'm self-employed. I get it." I was like, "You got to have money to survive." I said, "But at the same time," I said, "that's a little bit much," and got him down to like $1,000.
From 3,500. What kind of haggling did you do with this dude?
Well, I mean,
You had some old spare tires and rims in it.
so I gave him $1,000. I mean, I get it. You know, you're self-employed and whatever. So gave him that, and we loaded up, and I took off, and I had a bunch of stock parts I'd taken off and made it like near brand new again. And I gave it back to the dealership because it was a demo.
Oh, God.
And they done marked it off.
Did
and
you tell them what happened to it?
No, they knew right out of the gate. I called the guy that day, and I said, "Man, I'm extremely sorry. This is what happened." And he was like, "Man," he said, "I hate it." He said, "I hate it more for your truck." He's like, "You know, we can make claims or whatever and whatever." But I gave it back to him, and I didn't even tell him I had it. I just waited for Tennessee to reissue the VIN, put it on there, made it all brand new, cleaned it up nice. It literally had 150 miles more on it than when I had it.
That's it.
You know, they didn't
ride it much.
Maybe they were scared of all the posts or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. They're dumb, but not.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's 150 miles of Dukes of Hazzard.
It very well
Especially
may.
in Tennessee, you know they was jumping creeks and that.
But I mean, either way, I took it back to dealer. They were super pumped. They're like, "Man, we thought it was a loss." And oh, there you go. You know, you can do whatever. And they were pumped. I mean, everyone was pumped. Of course, my truck was still gone, and $13,000 worth of tools,
Gosh.
and parts and whatever else. But you know, we just luckily half of it was Harbor Freight.
Yeah,
And,
of course.
$13,000 and half of it was Harbor Freight.
Hell
Would you
yeah,
buy the
what?
whole store.
Well,
You bought the whole store.
come on, boy,
We're about to get you a Pittsburgh shirt.
let's go on the exaggeration station over here. Holy cow!
that truck had to have a camper shell on it.
Hold all that.
But either way, you know, then I got the Ram, and the Ram has lasted me until now.
Yeah.
And 318,000 miles. So
yeah,
now
but
we're.
let's go back to that Razor though. If I know anything about the boys from Tennessee, that they a little bit into hill shooting. So that 150 miles had to be in 150 miles of hill killing. Come on, come on.
Maybe I can't say or speculate. All I know is it was still in good shape. It wasn't mud stained. It wasn't like it had just been cruised down the road because the tires were a little warm, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And for the motor to not even be mud stained yet, well, it ain't been hurt on too bad. Or there's some hella washers.
Yeah, they got some good. They were using Simple Green on the motor, keeping it clean.
Yeah. So I need to ask y'all, like, where in the world did you get this table and these colors and the skull? Like, is this arts and crafts over here? Like,
Sweet, isn't it?
Like,
That's sweet.
who decorated it?
I mean, honestly, dude.
When did you decorate that?
No, I don't have the patience for this. We got the table made by a company here locally. This was bought in Guadalajara for that ride
In Texas?
to Ruta Vallarta. No, Mexico.
Oh,
and they were
okay.
look at that. That's like some kind of wax.
Turquoise, yeah.
Wax. Well, no, they put them on there by hand, each individual.
It's
piece.
a real human skull.
Yeah, they said it was a monkey skull or something. I don't know.
It looks like a human skull.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
does.
That's a human skull if I've
So,
ever seen one.
for
and
sure.
Guadalajara is the capital of the cartel, so there's no telling where this came from.
Nice,
Maybe
nice.
some-
What else did it come with? Is there any hidden compartments?
No, I don't
We hadn't
think
got
so.
that far into it.
Well, it's closed off, so yeah.
I don't know.
We just progressively started accumulating stuff, people sending stuff in to put on the podcast table. Some of the stuff on the walls is wrecked cars that I've torn up. So wrecked this one at the Baja 1000. Dustin
Remember
made
that? I remember that one.
Dustin made me hit a rock at Vegas to Reno going rather quickly.
Don't remember that one.
And then the other one, we're just Americans. Yeah, and then this dude, we don't even
Yeah,
know.
D.
Literally nobody even knows who this dude
He
is.
just sent in a picture, said, "Check out what I did."
Yeah, that was a, what do you call them? Viewer submission?
Yes, your submission.
That's pretty awesome. I'll say that. I don't dress like that when I get on Southwest.
So I think
He's a good looking dude, though.
Hubert, you got to tell them because obviously you told me a crazy story earlier today.
Cock County, huh?
No, no.
County.
It's a different county at all. You know some people that make moonshine up that way. They don't really make it, but they know how to get it.
Uh-huh.
And moonshine is the people like that make it like out in the woods is different than the regulated stuff you find in the stores and whatever else. Just because it's so regulated, where their stuff, if they didn't know what they're doing, it'll make you go blind.
What?
No, like literally, like something with the retinas in your eyes and
it'll
the
make you
contents
blind.
and stuff like
You
that.
talking about like if you poured it in your eyes?
No. I'm talking about drinking.
You drank
like
it.
If you drink
if it
it?
wasn't like distilled correctly or for the right amount of time.
So you're telling me when it comes to making moonshine, like there's a fine line between enjoying yourself and going blind?
The line's
Pretty wide?
pretty fat, but still it happens.
What
Or
are they-
it can happen.
Yeah,
The old timers will tell you that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll make you go blind. Yeah, they take a spoon. Have you never seen them do that?
No.
They take a spoon, and there's the first part of the moonshine that comes out in the jar, and they're watching it and smelling it, and they'll take a spoon and they burn it. If it lights red immediately and burns red, it's not ready. It has to burn blue, and then it's at the right temperature and everything. That's pretty
Yeah.
wild. Or
Yeah,
it'll
that-
literally make you go blind. You've never heard that?
I never heard of that.
Dude, I've seen people bring in moonshine to mud rides in pickle jars and be like, "Hey man, y'all drink this, pass this around." There's a chance they could go blind doing
If
that.
they didn't get it to the right temperature
Yeah.
and it didn't evaporate and everything,
Yeah.
condense right, yeah.
Yeah, that's my kind of people. That's living on the edge. That's living on the edge.
But with that being said, I was up there at my buddy's shop up in the mountain one day, and I had asked to get some moonshine for some friends.
Yeah.
And they told me how much it cost, so I went up there to go get it. And, you know, the people that make it only deal with probably 2 people, and everyone has to deal with them.
Got it.
And the guy was telling me, well, you know, he knew of the people that got it, but he didn't really deal with them directly. And about that time, a semi-truck showed up and looking for a certain address. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's down at the bottom of the mountain. You go down there, and it's a little shack on the right." And he's like, "That's where it is." The guy said, all right, you know, I'll go down there. And he's like, "Why on earth would someone need a tractor-trailer load of mason jars?"
That's what he was bringing.
That's what he was bringing. And like, it was probably 2 or 3 pallets full of mason jars. And he's like, "Oh, it's a little camp down there or whatever. And, you know, you'll find it." And he went down there and they unloaded it. And the guy stopped back by on the way back. And he was asking the question again. He's like, "Man," he said, "these old people, they're probably 80-something years old. You know, why would someone need that many mason jars?" I said, "Well, they do a lot of canning back there." And
They're putting okra and they're putting.
he's like, "Well, that's funny. I didn't see a garden anywhere." He's like, "Always way back here in the woods. They got it pinned up to keep deer out."
You're asking too many questions. It's time to move on.
Yeah,
You
it's
just
time
drop-
for you to keep on moving while you're ahead.
Yeah, you're just supposed to be dropping stuff off.
This sounds like an episode of Dukes of Hazzard for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You claim to take care of stuff, but I vividly remember out at Trail Hero just a couple of months back, you going full yard sale on just about a brand new car.
I remember that.
Was it a
true.
rental?
No, oh no.
No, it was his. That's the crazy part. It was yours.
Before he tells a story, I know you'll remember. Do you remember he did like 4 dry runs where he was just going D to R, D to R? He'd run 75% up the hill, and then it started doing this.
Cram it R.
And then he'd cram it in R and put it on the floor. You remember that?
Yeah, you learned that from the hill killer guys.
The hill coolers.
It worked.
That's
it worked.
That's how you get back out of it. But there comes a certain point, there is no more R.
Yeah.
It's just go.
You just go for it.
And
That you did.
what's funny is I've got some friends that are hill killers, and like one of them is like Timmy Cameron. Timmy Cameron is awesome, probably one of the best in the country. And he's not really that person to go up and back, up and back, up and back. He knows, he does all the time. He knows what he can do. He knows what his machines can do. He knows how it reacts no matter what. And he just goes. And he makes it all work. Well, I don't do it that much.
No, so you got to test the waters.
So we do a little bit of testing. And I know some people that do testing like, oh, we'll get 15, 25 runs in here. Basically pack her in like pavement before we even
before you
go.
try.
No, I don't like to be that guy either. And y'all are all in 72-inch machines. And definitely in an area where there's a big V out, that is an advantage. But I'm like, well, I'm in 64. I've already done pretty good today. It should work. But it was one of those hills that it was steep enough that you're not just crawling it. Like, you have to use some momentum to at least get there. And I walked up a couple times, and it kept slipping over. And then y'all lined me up in a good line once, and it was pretty square. But in my head, I knew it was probably going to slide in no matter what. And I looked around, and this is all going through my head like within a 5-second span. I'm like, all right, go. There's a lot of cameras Oh, well. And I just pinned it. And
There was a lot of people watching too. So it was me, you were out there, Ken Block,
Yep.
Casey Curry, Sarah Price, RJ Anderson, the Tempt Media crew, our video crew, your video guy,
Monster Media crew.
Aaron Casada, Monsters video crew. Like
Yeah.
there was people with eyeballs on you.
There
right
was
there.
everyone, and quite a few people have made it up, and whether they struggled or not, they made it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm not going to be that guy, and you're over here like, well, you ain't got to do it, and I'm like,
Yeah, you
like
knew.
no, like you're
knew.
trying to pull out those little words.
But to your credit, like that hill was sketchy.
Oh, it
I
was
went
for
around
sure.
it. I wasn't doing it.
It was for sure, but I just winged it back, threw it on the floor, and hopefully it'll go.
And it
when
didn't.
Well, it went straight backwards.
Dude, that thing hooked, and it got that old nasty hop, and it came down, and you heard that back axle, pow,
Blowed it out?
Oh man!
And it rolled over. It was actually very smooth because it tipped over to the wall. And it slid to the wall, and then it just continued. It wasn't like straight backwards, straight to the roof. It slid its way down.
There was
And
par- there was
it
parts
buckled
flying off
around,
that
and
thing.
I watched the windshield spider, and I was like, oh, that's expensive. and
And there was a list of parts there. So when just you and I were looking at it, you broke a rear axle, both drive shafts somehow. The long one from the transmission and the small one to the front differential.
That means things was turning.
oh
son.
yeah, oh
He had it on the wood.
He did.
So you was at gravedigger RPMs when it went down?
we was digging deep, even on rock.
busted the windshield, broke the light bar, threw the spare tire off.
Spare tire carrier.
Radiator.
Yes, and then the radiator.
Busted
My little
the
light
radiator.
bar punched a little pinhole in the radiator.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that made it was great footage.
But it would have been a lot worse had I not been there to save it. I don't
Ooh.
know if you watched the video, but pretty well I saved the day on that deal.
Yeah, of course.
Did he ever thank you for that?
I didn't ever hear him say that.
I don't
Fill me
remember
in on
any
this.
kind of.
What did-
I don't remember any kind of save the day.
I do.
Oh, dude, this thing was just flipping end over end, just getting worse. You know how it is. Like you remember it a certain way. So the video may not be exactly like I remember it, but this is how I remember it.
Tell us your hero story.
He started flipping, and so it was like only like 10 foot to a 150, 200 foot ledge off the side of that hill that was vertical. It was at the Maze out in Sand Hollow in Utah. And so bro comes rolling down the hill, and it looks like it's building speed to me.
7 or 8 times he probably already flipped.
Yes. And so he gets to the bottom of the hill, and I'm just so happen to be standing there. I'm like, bro, if I don't do something, Hubert's gone for good. And so I grab a hold of the rear bed, dude, and I just freaking locked down on it. Got her slowed down and just dropped it back on the tires.
I'm going to give you the footage of the video.
Yeah, no, that's how it.
That way we can really let the crowd
Am I wrong?
No, we thought you was a goner.
description this because at the bottom of that hill was a big flat area about half the size of a basketball
It was
court.
a small flat area. Small flat area.
Yeah. But yes, it was still being a little tipsy, and it was going to fall, and you just gave it that extra little push to help it get flat.
Dude,
so,
that thing was so nice too.
Oh,
was.
well, it
Was.
is
Send it to
now.
the chop shop.
It is now. We fixed it. The candy cane, the drive shaft looked like a candy cane when I pulled it out.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. He's got the similar story about, that razor got stolen that night. All of a sudden, that one was missing.
We had a little side bet going on who we thought was not going to make it up the hill.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you bet on me or not, but if you did, you won something.
I did.
You won a show.
Dustin did bet on you.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
But that poor machine. And crazy thing is, dude, radiator's spewing fluid. And like he walks around and looks at everything. He's like, I'm going to try to drive back to camp. Fires it up, dude.
We've heard those calls.
Yeah.
I had to get back to camp. What do you mean? You could have rode with somebody and towed it. Nah.
Had to get back.
We drove it out of there, and then Casey Curry hooked it to his Jeep and drug me basically to the top of the hill, turned me loose, and I coasted for probably about 3 miles.
Back in the camp.
No. That's a neutral roll race. That's not a coast.
Yeah.
Either way, it was a good time.
That poor machine. Poor
Well,
thing.
it looks great right now, minus the couple little scratches.
Clean back up.
Fixed
Good
it
to go.
right back up. No big deal.
Was it worth it?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
You know what that
matters.
means? It means it's time to go back to southern Utah.
Oh, here we go again.
Time for another trip.
But before that was all the way at the end of that
was
trail.
it, yeah.
That little thing was getting it up till then.
No, the last day, last of the
That's
week.
right.
Yeah.
The whole ride, we'd been riding for a week out there. That was the last day, the last trail. Like we were done after that.
That's the best time to do it. If you're going to show out, do it on the last one.
You're right, but it's always that one time to get you when you're like, all right, dude, let's just hit it one more time. Let's just try it one more, and like we're done.
Nitro Circus, you never say one more. We're just gonna do it again.
Yeah, you don't say one more time.
Never.
That's when it
one
always
more
goes.
is always bad.
That's when it always
every
goes.
time.
You know what gave him his confidence is when we were at that one little hill climb and he took the Defender up it.
Oh yeah.
And then Hubert came in and took that sketchy line up the side.
That's right.
Started flexing on
That's
everybody.
right.
Well, I went up to this little stair step area, and I thought that's where I went. And then all of y'all go around it, like you side hill, so it looked more dramatic. Where I'm just banking it like a wheelie on a bike and slamming it in there.
He was, dude. He took the worst line up that hill.
But I was like, well, that's the straightest way. We're going that way.
Had to give the people what they want.
Even though there was no fans out there.
Dude, in the truck a minute ago, you travel a lot. We drive a lot. And so we got on this kick where we mount our iPad in the truck and like we hotspot it to our telephone because we've got those 20-hour drives going out west. And we started watching documentaries and stuff. You were telling me like you carry an iPad in your truck too.
Yes, I have the 12-inch iPad, which is the biggest one you can buy.
No, we got 13. We got 13-inch iPad.
I forget where I'm at. My bad.
You haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah, it's prototype stuff. But I have that. Mostly I use it for mapping to make new maps and stuff like that, or trace trails or wherever I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But we've loaded a handful of DVDs on there.
Yeah.
Anything from Step Brothers to Lone Survivor.
The best.
The best ones.
Uh-huh.
And you've seen them so many times, it's not like you're watching it. It's just something to keep your mind off of driving for 36 hours. That's all.
And it does help, dude. But we've got on these kicks now of watching those like true crime mysteries. Like we watched Night Stalker.
Good, super good.
We watched a couple of other ones. What were some of the other ones we watched?
We watched a mafia one. I forget the names of it.
If this stuff is new, y'all are dangerous on the road because y'all are like,
We're glued to it.
Yeah.
We're glued to it. on all those true crime like murder mystery things, there's always a facial sketch of like the dude that did it. So like what was the one from Night Stalker? What was that guy's name?
Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez, which was an insane dude. If you haven't watched that, you've got to watch Night Stalker. It is
your water.
Crazy.
Just sucking on it.
You know when you try it and you're like, that doesn't taste like my lips. That's my
That's for sure.
You know who else does that all the time? This one right here.
No,
drinks
I
out of your
don't.
He'll drink your drink in the truck in a minute.
Is he the one that gave everybody Corona?
It's because y'all put them in my part of the console. But the facial sketches, dude, we were talking about earlier and thinking, like, can you imagine trying to describe to somebody what another human looks like? If I close my eyes right now and somebody was like, all right, describe Quinton's face to us, I'd be like, I don't, it's round. He's got a nose in the middle. But, like, those sketches are so
They nail 'em.
accurate. Dude, they're so accurate when they're done.
I don't know if I believe it once it's produced on TV. You know how that goes. Because they're literally super accurate.
How? And they'll put them up on like on news channels and be like, this is what the guy looks like. And when you fast forward to the end of the documentary, you're like, dude, that
looks like him.
That sketch looked exactly like that dude.
It doesn't even make any sense to me.
No, for sure. After you finish a sketch with me, if I was to sit down with somebody and go, it would look like Mr. Potato Head.
Big Bird.
I'm hard pressed to draw a stick figure.
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't describe to you what somebody looks like.
They probably do what Josh does all the time. That really irritates me. Ask you a question like 4 different times, or keep asking you the same question but in a slightly different each time. I get it because it does work. Like it does evoke different responses. So that's got to be what they do.
For sure. Like, what does his nose look like? Kind of like mine. It had 2 holes in it. All right, was it a wide nose? Nuh-uh.
Did he have 2 lips or 1?
Well, nowadays it could be easy. It's of course easier nowadays with technology
Yeah.
because, I mean, it could be like an app and you have like 30-something eyebrows and you just pick one.
Yeah.
And 30-something faces, just sort of like the emojis that are on your little phone.
That's
But
true.
Back before all that, where you didn't have those selections to pick through, maybe cut it out and glue it to cardboard,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, it's always
That's
that.
what I'm saying. For sure. Cut some lips out of a coloring book, put it on some some, what is that colored paper that you had when you was little?
Onion paper?
No.
That's what I'm talking about. The sketches,
Construction paper.
Construction paper, colored
Okay,
construction
all right.
paper.
the sketches are always drawn on that. Y'all remember that really thin recycled paper you'd get? You couldn't
Yeah.
pencil erase
'Cause
on?
you'd blow through it.
It would blow through it. That's what
what I'm
the
talking about.
sketches
It's
look.
onion paper.
Yes, as thin as onion skins.
I would sketch on graph paper. All right,
That's what I'm saying.
All right, his eyes are 4 squares to
On the same
left,
line.
4 squares. Yeah, we're keeping them everything square.
That'd be the only way you could get to it. There ain't no way. That's made our drives quite a bit easier doing that.
And we just started doing that like the last couple of months. But we didn't just start making those trips out there. We've been doing that for like 4 years. What have we been doing with that?
Not living right, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hubert, you got one of the sweetest fire suits that I have ever seen.
Oh, my fire suit that looks like bib overalls.
Dude, it's the
That's
sweetest
legit.
fire suit ever.
I've had 2 fire suits. Well, actually 3. One of them was stolen in the truck, which was plain. And then my last one was overalls, and I got a newer one. This one's made by K1.
Yeah.
And it's actually, they tried to make it look like plaid. So it's kind of like checkerboard looking.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's very close to plaid and bib overalls. It's a lot of fun. I wear it maybe twice a year, and everyone always loves it. It's like new every year.
It's for sure the raddest fire suit I've ever seen.
Yeah, most unique for sure. Like pretty synonymous with you. That
Well, it's one thing people look forward to, and everyone's really thumbs up and about. You know, it's all about the show and making people happy, and just making people laugh.
Dude, and that's your signature thing. Like you've done a good job because you've got first of all a crazy following on social media, and you've been around this stuff for a long time, and you've really been like around Pastrana and Nitro Circus and done all that. But dude, you've done like crazy things and made a name for yourself, and not just let that define you. Like you are your own brand now.
Yeah, I mean, to some point, I know where the credit comes from. It comes from working with Travis, working with Nitro Circus, and from very early on. I met Travis at the end of '04, and I started helping him, I mean, pretty much full-time, spring of '05, and basically never left.
Yeah.
I showed up, they invited me after meeting, I was a mechanic for a pro women's racer that raced against Jolene, and I met Travis at a race. He just walks up, and he has a cast on his wrist, and he walks up with a backpack full of corn, still in the truck. He bought it at a little food stand, and he's like, "Well, I was going to eat this, but I don't know." And I was like, "Oh yeah, we eat that stuff out of the field all the time back home. It'll be all right." And he was like, "This guy sounds redneck enough. I'll believe him."
I trust him.
And then we kind of hit it off like that, and I won $1 off of him that day for betting who would win third in the 250 class.
Because everybody bets on third place.
Yeah, exactly.
was he famous then?
Yeah, this
He
was
was?
04. So he had been.
I don't have a good
his
concept of time.
his professional career started roughly 99, 2000
Okay.
era right there, and then it went on 125, 250, and all that kind of stuff, and then X Games, and that's where he developed into just more and more exposure all the time. But that's where I met him, and then they invited me up there while they were doing some filming, and I showed up and there's just broken stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just started fixing things because I'm just thinking you shouldn't have this much stuff and it's all broke. And I basically kind of never left. His dad, we worked on a bike together and got it ready for a race that weekend and went with him and helped with the bike, and then went home, and I was telling my buddies, about going and doing it. And I always had the idea of if it never happens again, it happened once.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Just be very grateful and make the most of it. I get home and tell my buddies about the trip and all that kind of stuff, and my phone rings, and it's Travis calling me. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to race a race in Tyler, Texas." And it was a bigger Pro-Am race. He said, "You want to come with me and help me work on the bike?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "All right, where are you at? I'll come pick you up."
Like, let's go right now.
I'm like, wait a minute, where are you?" He's like, "I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. Where are you at? And I'll come pick you up."
Yeah, she was ready to roll.
Yeah, and I was back home in Tennessee, and I said, all right, wait a minute. I was like, my truck and stuff is in right outside of Montgomery, Alabama, at a track there. I was like, called Monster Mountain. I said, go there, and I'll meet you there. And we were both about 5 hours apart. And we took off driving, and we pulled in like within 10 minutes of each other right there. Stayed the night, started driving to Tyler, Texas. That trip was something else. We're rolling in an F-350 on like 37s.
Big dog.
And it starts popping the lug nuts off.
Oh Lord.
The front wheel. And we get down to one lug nut. We'd stop and tighten them, and then it would pop another one off. And it was breaking the studs off because I guess it got untorqued or something like that, out of balance, whatever. And we've got a little trailer with two bikes and a bicycle in it, and we stop, and I was like, man, it's one load now. We can't drive anymore. He's like, man, if we had a skateboard, we could take that wheel off, put it on there, and keep going.
Oh my
I'm like, no,
dude,
we can't.
What on earth?
And it's just being funny, but at the same time, I'm like, no, man, we can't. So he gets on his road bicycle. He bicycles into town, maybe 5 miles ahead, gets Subway, and comes back.
Of all things. Of all things, bro.
So he...
I already know Hubert was standing out there. I thought you couldn't get any dumber.
No.
But then you totally redeem yourself.
Well, he had already called AAA, and they were like, we're coming at some time. So he goes to get Subway, and I'm like, okay. I said, how far was that town? He's like, oh, right up there. I said, was there a dealer or anything like that? He's like, well,
I don't know.
I'm not really sure. I just went to the first store. He didn't go any further. I'm like, all right. Well, so I get a dirt bike out, and I ride it up in town. There's a Ford dealer. And I go in a Ford dealer, and I said, man, I hate to be a pest. I said, but we're broke down right down the road. We need to be towed in because we have to be in Tyler, Texas tonight. Whatever it takes, whatever I need to do to help, just let me know, and if y'all can help us. They're like, yeah, sure. I went down there, put the bike in the trailer, and literally within 5 minutes, the tow truck showed up, hooked to us, took us up there. They fixed it. Maybe 30 minutes, we were back on the road. So we were only down like probably like 2 hours. And we're cruising down the road, and he gets a phone call, and it's AAA looking for us.
Oh.
And he's like, no, that was a
False alarm.
A tow truck pulled up
That was
front
a
of
prank
us.
phone call.
Well,
Crank call.
a tow truck pulled up, and we thought it was you, so we just went with him.
Oh.
And like legitimately, you could really make that mistake if you didn't ask questions.
Of
Like, oh, they're here to tow us. Let's go.
Of course.
And especially being in a hurry. And we went to the race, and the race went fair, and then I stayed with him in Oklahoma and for Supercross testing, and then I drove his truck and trailer home, and he went out west, and that was kind of the beginning road trip of here we are, almost 18 years later.
Man, and I can appreciate that, like, your humility, and that you give credit to Travis for where you come from.
Oh, 100%.
And where you are. And Travis is a great dude. Like, we've been out to Pastrana Land a couple of times. Dude, he's so welcoming, and he's such a nice person. And I appreciate that about you. But, like, you're truly a guy that grew up in a small town in Tennessee, like really remote.
My town, when I was in third grade, the population was 450 people.
Tiny town.
And now it's about 3,000. And technically, we're really just a community on a main highway.
Yeah.
There's two highways that come together. There's no red lights. There's a store, a Dollar General, and 4 or 5 churches, and that's it. It's a very small town, and we grew up with just enough to get by.
Yeah.
We didn't really need nothing, but we had clothes and food and a roof, and we worked on a farm, and that's just, you do whatever it takes to get by. And I just grew up looking at four-wheeler and dirt bike magazines. I had like 3. And I looked at those for like 8 or 10 years.
You looked at the not the 3 subscriptions, but the same 3
No,
magazines.
the same 3 magazines for 4 to 5 to 6 years. That's all I had.
Yeah.
And I remember going with my mom. My brother and me would go with my mom to the grocery store, and we'd run to the magazine aisle and sit on the floor and just look at the four-wheeler and dirt bike magazines. And then when she was done shopping, she'd swing through and get us, and we'd go back home. And, that was every 2 weeks or so. So we were, every other trip, maybe there's a new magazine.
Yeah.
Really pumped about it. And then as you get older and you're able to buy your own stuff, you kind of branch into getting what you've always wanted. And it started out like $50 and $200 dirt bikes, and work on them for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah.
Just to ride it for 15 minutes. But that was the best 15 minutes ever. And my buddies across our little community, they the same way. We all grew up kind of basically on my buddy's dairy farm because he couldn't leave. And we all had junk, and we just worked on junk together whenever he wasn't milking cows or baling hay or whatever we weren't doing, just to go ride and have fun. And then once you get a job and you can afford to go basically pay or finance your first new four-wheeler or whatever, this is the first time in my life actually that my truck costs more than the toys I'm pulling.
Really?
Most of the time the toys are always cost more than the truck.
Dude, and what something you told me earlier, dude, that just it showed how much like you love it, is you said your grandpa had a shop that had an old Suzuki 125 Ford.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, and tell them.
My mom's house is up by the road. My grandpa lives back behind us, or he did. He's passed away now. But when we were little, like 6, 7, 8 years old, I was, and I'm 3 years older than my brother. I'm the oldest. My grandpa worked on lawnmowers and weed eaters and chainsaws and the occasional four-wheeler. When a four-wheeler come in his garage, we were like blown away, like, that thing is so cool. And this people down the road brought him this little Suzuki 125 four-wheeler. And it had a blown motor. And we were super little. We don't know nothing about it. And it was easy to pull the rope because it was
no compression
whatsoever. We would go up there and pull the rope on that thing for hours a day, days on end, just praying one day it would start. We probably couldn't even ride it, even if it did start.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what we look forward to. We always just envied that kind of stuff. And look at the magazines like, man, that looks so cool. I guess you never really forget it. You always kind of chase what you never had. Yeah. I think we're all guilty on that, really, depending on anything. And then slowly it just develops more and more. I always knew I would do something with off-road machines, dirt bikes, or something like that. That's always what I wanted to do. And as I went through high school, I went into Wyotech for mechanics. And I come home and went and worked at a dealership and basically worked on everybody else's junk. And it wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. But that's when I started racing motocross and stuff. And I thought it was like a code, like you had to be invited to a motocross track.
Really?
I didn't know you just get a bike, get your gear, go there and pay and ride.
Really? You thought
I had no clue. Like I didn't know how you did that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I started racing and got life flatted a couple times and, always wanted to be that Travis. Of course, it started way too late in the game.
Yeah.
And working at a dealership or wherever, you work all week to have enough money to go race and basically to have $100 to get you through the next week. And driving all over the Southeast, just basically chasing a dream.
Dude, that's true love for racing.
And from that point, went in, just kind of backed off and said, you know what, I'm going to be a mechanic. I'm too old to be a pro motocross racer, and I'm really not that good. I mean, I'm fair and better than some, but not as good as others. Very mediocre range. And that's when I started doing mechanic work, and that's when I met the girl that I mechanicked with, and then I met Travis, and it slowly evolved into what it is now. I worked for free for about 2 years. I didn't have any kind of bills. I had a cell phone and truck insurance. That was it. So I needed $300 a month, and that's all I needed.
And you put the rest towards racing and traveling.
So I just ran with it. And the girl that I helped, she told me right off, she said, I can't really pay you, but we'll cover all the expenses. And you'll meet whoever you need to meet to get to where you want to be. Basically like open door, but it's on you. And before I did all that, like I had only really barely traveled outside of the Southeast a handful of times. We went all the way to Fillmore, Utah for like a senior trip, ATV Jamboree.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit off subject, but like that was the first time I've ever been like west, and it stood out big time. I went into a motorcycle dealership out there, and I needed air filter oil for my four-wheeler. And I walked in, I couldn't find it anywhere, and the guy said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I need a foam filter oil." And it was like,
What'd you say?
What? I said, "I need a foam filter oil." And I said it probably 5 times.
He couldn't understand you.
And he couldn't understand me. And my buddy Philip came over there and said, What do you need? He can't. And I told him, he said, "No, foam filter oil." And that was like first time in the western part. But, always just kind of push towards what I want. And I tell people in general, like the public kind of teaches people in general, get a good education, work 40 hours a week, look forward to the vacation days and vacation time. That's really what we're trained. And that's fine, but it's not for everyone. If you're not comfortable or you don't feel full inside, then go do what you want to do. My advice is pick what you love doing and figure out how to make it a job.
Yeah.
I loved mechanics and dirt work and dirt bikes and four-wheelers, so I did something that was around that kind of stuff. And it's kind of the life I've chose to live. But my job is my hobby, so even the girlfriend's like, I love riding, but you don't do anything else. I'm like, well,
This is who I am.
I was like, this is me, and she enjoys it, just as much as I do. She enjoys hunting and all that kind of stuff, and clay pigeon shooting and stuff like that. But that's kind of the route I took. And if anybody wanted to ever get that way, you just got to meet a lot of people, be willing to work with no expecting anything.
Yeah.
Just work because you love it, do a good job, and if you can make yourself where you don't need a lot of money, it'll get there. And I feel that, like, as a whole, as a country, we're all very money driven. You got to have money to live. I mean, that it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. But if the day I realized I wasn't going to be a millionaire, and if I can make enough money to get by and have a little bit left over in case something happens, I was more happy from that day on.
Yeah.
And I can almost picture that day. It was, probably about a year before I met Travis. I just said, you know what? It doesn't matter. It'll be fine. It'll all work out. And my mom loves me, but hates that part of me. Because she's like, oh, you need to write a check to Uncle Sam. I said, no, I don't neither, because he ain't my uncle. And but if you can ever get to the point to where you don't let money lead you, you're far more happier. Your quality of life is just through the roof. Like, I'm grateful for every single day I wake up, and I'm grateful to meet people like y'all, and I'm grateful to be partnering with great companies and Nitro Circus and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I am where I am from hard work,
of course,
but also from being part of people like Travis and Nitro Circus. It's a hand in hand. You work to get there, but then it has rewards at the same time.
Man, and to me, that's a fantastic outlook on like how you approach that stuff. And what's incredible to me, and I think a lot of people don't recognize, I know you get this a lot, because we're just kind of starting to hear it of like, oh man, it must be nice to, those must be nice guys to be where you are and to do all that. But what you said a minute ago is you were working for that girl for free, and all she could offer you was your expenses covered to get out there. And you were like, I'll do it. I'll try it. Like, I know I can't get to where I want to be without hard work and some sacrifice. It's not like you walked out here and it's like, man, if you want me to work on your dirt bike, like, I'm only working on Travis Pastrana's. I need to meet him. No. You started with this girl working on her bike for free just to cross paths with people that might put you in a position. That's what a lot of people don't see, because they see your huge following. Like, you go into the races and you racing King of the Hammers in these desert races and running around with a Nitro Circus, doing all this cool stuff. They didn't see you working for free.
Yeah, and it's not mad, but it's a little frustrating, because I see people comment. People tag me on, like, my cross-country adventure where I took UTVs and went from ocean to ocean, 29 days, 5,000 miles. And
What? I don't know about this.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it either. We're doing it.
So I did that in 17, and I've had people hit me up about it and whatever, and they're wanting all the maps. And I said, you just go to the site and buy the maps. And I said, I just edit them to what I need. My mom actually helped a lot, and she did the gas stops on the GPS and hotel phone numbers. And we just zoom in, call, and make a hotel. But people are like, oh, yeah, it must be easy to do that kind of stuff. And I wish people would even halfway know what has to go through someone's head to do that kind of stuff. Because I'm solely responsible to make this. And I'm not trying to take credit, but I'm responsible to make all this happen because I've committed to making it happen.
Yeah.
And I've learned that from Travis right out of the gate, is if you commit to something, you do it no matter the consequences. Whether it's injury, failure, bankruptcy, whatever, you committed to it, you do it. And he learned that early on from his dad. He was very, very young. They would go on a jog every morning, and he wanted to jump off this bridge, and his dad just kind of brushed it off, and then they did it a couple times, and finally Robert's like, all right, get up there and jump off. Well, he got up there, and he was scared. I don't want to. And he pushed him off. And the kid could swim really good.
Yeah,
he's like 8 or so years old. He got up to the shore, and he wasn't mad or crying on it. Like, he was kind of like, wow. And his dad said, you never commit to anything and not do it.
Yeah.
You always follow through. Just always try to do that, because it must be nice people. I mean, yes, we're all working for everything, but like, us that are self-employed, a self-employed person just in general understands that, like, your brain never shuts off. Yeah. Your brain works 7 days a week, 24 hours. I mean, you know that, and y'all know that. Y'all are part of all of this. Your brain never shuts off, and a paycheck's never guaranteed. Like, I don't get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks or even sometimes 2 or 3 months. You just have to know what goes where, and just believe it'll all work out, and just keep hustling, keep doing your thing, and it'll all be fine.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the mindset of, for those that think it must be nice.
They don't have a clue, right?
I would challenge you to try to put together something like that and know that you have X amount of commitments that must happen no matter what, and be very engaging. There's a lot of calculations and all this kind of marketing stuff, and I don't know a lot of it, but I understand more and more all the time that, like, if you just throw out a video and it only hits so many views, well, it's not getting the exposure that companies may have expected.
Yeah.
And so it has to be done in the right ways.
Yeah. But I bring that up to encourage people to dig a little deeper and don't look at the surface level of where you're at.
Yeah.
For me, that's why I enjoy sitting down like this and talking to people, because you can find out, like, where are they coming from, where do they start, and it makes you really appreciate where you are, because we're young and, like, hustling and trying to get it done and trying to make a name in here too. Yeah. And so we get it. Like, we were there. So I know whenever we look at you, it's not like, oh, man, look at where Hubert is. Like, he got a free ride all the way to where he's at. No, it's a lot more than that.
And people can think what they want. That's fine. I mean, haters are going to hate. And like it was said on a Dave Chappelle show, if you've got 14 haters, you just figure out how to get 20 by the end of the week, whatever. Because if some people are hating on you, you're probably doing something right.
Well, I'll tell you, we're not hating on you, dude.
Well, I mean, I appreciate it.
Pulling for you.
It's funny. Even people expect a lot, and they see a certain persona, because when they see Nitro Circus, we see all of us together doing anything and everything. Well, that's all scheduled. Yeah. It's scheduled film shoots, because you can't just run like that 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You would be in serious pain. And at King of the Hammers, a guy saw me and he was like, hey, where are you pitted at? And I was like, I'm that truck over there. He's like, that's all?
With no stickers, no banners? Yeah.
Just a white trailer and my Can-Am sitting outside, and that's it. He's like, you mean the crew doesn't come with you? You don't have a crew? I was like, no, I come out here by myself. I was like, I have a lot of friends that are already here. I was like, my co-driver is supposed to meet me here. And I'll find someone to give me gas when I go to the pits, and there it is. I said, I'm here for a fun time and to finish and just have a lot of fun. Yeah. And he's like, wow, hats off to you, man. He's like,
gave him a new appreciation, right?
He was like, I would have never expected that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just a hillbilly with bib overall suit,
fire suit,
driving around.
Just a flannel and overall fire suit.
I'm just following the worn out path.
Trying to have fun too, man.
It's a great time though.
Yep, no doubt about it.
That's freaking wild.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the perception in that genre of racing is, like you said, they see what everybody else is doing and they see you're following, so they're like, but you're living the simplest lifestyle you can.
Well, I seen them roll up, and like S3 is a big deal, and y'all's affiliation with Can-Am and Monster and all that kind of stuff. I mean that's a big deal stuff. That's very similar to Nitro and Red Bull and all that kind of stuff. You're a very big deal, and I see y'all roll up in a dually with a box trailer and just start throwing plastic totes out on the ground all over the place and setting parts out, and I'm like, man, I feel all of a sudden a little bit more organized than somebody.
Oh my God. Hubert,
it's fine.
God, are you doing this our race program right now?
No, I'm not beating you up. Like, it's just it's real world. Like, I've got a toolbox, and I kind of proud on keeping my tools nice and my parts kind of organized, whatever. And I'm scrambling trying to get like another little toolbox in there and some little totes and trying to make all these things look nice. Y'all do it. Y'all do. Nope. But at the end of the day, it's like, how many Home Depot totes can we fit in that trailer?
Oh yes, sir, dude. And I love racing that way. You remember my my Renegade that we used to mud race on, that Shane and I built, and had the dumbbells, like curling dumbbells, ratchet strapped to the front bumper for the mud racing, and that's one headlight was gone, and I just left it. I raced it like that. I love racing that away. Yeah, it's not that we're disorganized, because Manny is very meticulous with everything, and he keeps up with everything, and everything is organized perfectly. But I don't mind that perception of these guys are showing up to get it.
Of course, but I can just picture like an outsider walking up, like just willing to give you a hand, like especially like me, like, hey, grab me that tote, and I start grabbing. No, the one with the diffs in it over there.
The other yellow tote,
and none of them are labeled. It's just like
there used to be blue painter's tape on them with marker.
There used to be, but then the lids got swapped and everything got lost.
But it's so awesome. When I saw that, I'm like, I'm at home.
But I want people to know, like, when we come out there, dude, it's not. it's not jet setting and champagne bottles, dude. We're there to race with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
When we show,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like you, dude. Like you show up there in your truck, in your trailer, in your race car, and you need to test it, and you got a pre-run, and you got to race. Like, dude, we're there to race with everybody. We're not anything. We're doing the same thing you are. Like, it's our passion. It's what we love. It's what we put our heart into. But that doesn't mean we come up in an 18-wheeler trailer with a full F1 pit crew. And maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's ingrained in me. You and I grew up together, and it was always make the most of the least. And so when we were racing, like we didn't have the nicest four-wheelers, but we would put as much work in it as we could to try to win. And so that's the way I've always been. We don't have to be fancy, like we don't have to have the biggest and nicest. We're coming out there to get work done. And I believe in operating efficiently. And so, a lot of people's like, dude, there's no way I could race on that scale. I couldn't race King of the Hammers. I couldn't win the Mint 400, the world championships. But you can. Because that's how we started. That's what we were doing. That's how we got out there and did it.
Well, that's what I've been thinking the whole drive here. Like things are going to change for me next year. we're gonna push on the car a little bit more.
No, Hubert, I'm gonna be honest with you. Me and D.
Is you calling it right now?
No. I'm not calling nothing.
Are you Babe Ruth in this hit right here?
I'm trying to make myself do better next year.
Oh man, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, public accountability.
Dude, we broke front end, 5 axles. Had, I think, 1 flat. We stopped in the pit, fixed the car, jumped on short course, came back, got back in the pit, refixed the. Did you ever see Hubert during that time?
Not one.
Did he ever pass us during that race?
No. And I'm not. I'm a reserve driver, but
I'll say so.
after
That dude ain't racing. He's trying to get EPA ratings, fuel mileage. He's looking at the green eco light, clicking on and off.
hey, you got to do
Hey,
what
can
you got
y'all
to do.
push me? I'm trying to stay at 10 miles a gallon. Y'all get me up this hill.
But after kind of talking to y'all about how suspension acts, and like I know my car is built tough enough to take it. I'm just very reserved because I've seen stuff break it like the weirdest times. And I'll go ahead and tell you, like going across the lake bed pushing 90, I'm just worried. Oh, there goes the tie rod. We're done. We're cartwheeling.
Yeah, what could happen? But you've been a part with Nitro Circus. You've been a part of some crazy gnarly crashes.
Yeah,
so you know what could happen.
I've seen the very extreme.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily going to happen in a race like that.
Right.
But I have seen it, and it always clicks in your head.
It's always in the back of your mind, right?
We tried to set up that world record at Brimstone, and Phil drove the Razor and whatever, and we're trying to set a world record, and I spent all week building a landing. We brought in metal ramps and all that kind of stuff, and we laid it out to where it's just shy of foolproof. Mm-hmm. We said 70 miles an hour will get you right here in basically a 5-foot square. And this is all calculated out. This isn't just a random guess. Between running bikes over it and running machines over it at different lengths and just doing a lot of calculation. So you got a 5-foot square that you're going to land in if you go 70 miles an hour. And he come at it, and he had the mindset, and I found out later on, he had the mindset of, I don't want to jump it and not make the record and possibly break something. He said, because it might bounce, and he said, I don't know if I can control it. He said, so I want to guarantee I'm going to beat the record. Mm-hmm. So he passed the radar gun at 93.
Oh, my God.
And
dude,
I didn't know that.
Y'all knew it was trouble right then, right?
Oh, I mean, as soon as it left the ramp, it was like...
Bro, he touched Mars.
And it puts a feeling in your stomach, like if you hear about a loved one getting hurt or whatever, we're a family. And that thought went through your head and through my stomach as I'm watching it happen. And we ran down there, and he was okay. He was breathing. They were getting him out. They were helicoptering him. I mean, he needed to be. His back was broken, stuff like that. But they were looking at the recovery was going to look good if they could make the time frame and stuff like that. And it has. He's done very, very well. He's back to riding motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. Cautious.
He's a lucky man.
Cautious,
for sure.
Cautiously, his neck's fused and all that kind of stuff. And a great, great person. Super positive outcome and a positive mindset. But, like, to watch all that happen, it's just a reality check that, like, that.
It could happen.
It's over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All this prep, all this whatever. And that's not even the real of it. Like, it's a reality, like, life stops at the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll possibly just watch my friend die right there. And luckily it all worked out. But it puts a reality check on everyone. It's like, all right, we need to reevaluate some things and see what's going on, because we could have plugged a tuner into it, pulled the tune out of it, and limited that thing at 70 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. So we could have controlled some of it. Well, you can't control all of it, but that's the biggest thing is when we're doing big stunts, we do all we can to make it as safe as it possibly can be when the time comes.
Yep.
Really.
But we're all everything we do is running on that ragged edge. Us dragging that diesel down there wide open and it getting the death wobble. Like when we just on the drive here.
For sure.
We run on that ragged edge.
And I mean, like it's funny you're talking about like how you're okay with running stuff that's a little bit ragged. That's how you love racing and stuff like that. Growing up racing motocross, like my stuff never looked that great, but it always ran good because I put all the time into making sure it ran. I didn't care what gear I wore. It was just like the bike needs to run good.
Yes.
But we've all got those friends that it's a little bit more show before go.
Oh, yes, sir.
And I've got friends the next county over. I'm not going to bring any names or any county names.
Yeah, you got some weird counties.
I already know which one it is.
But I got friends in the next county over. They're full on show before go. And I've known them for a long time. They're great, great friends. But their bikes are like spotless, look amazing. And they're hard pressed to put 5 laps together.
Yeah.
On a motocross track. When then you got people like Travis and myself that our stuff it looked decent, but we put in like motors over and over again. So it's definitely a mindset for sure to that. But then that's the difference between the Travises and the other people is, like the whole ragged edge thing. The thought of injury or the thought of crashing or wrecking does not enter your mind until it's happening.
Right.
You don't let that stop you from trying, where those that have that mindset of like, whoa, I might get hurt, well, you'll only ever reach so far. And that kind of goes across the board, whether it's business or motocross or baseball or whatever, are you willing to risk it,
You got to lay it out there sometimes.
Yep, scared money don't make money.
What? Scared money don't make money.
Oh, my.
Dude, are you getting a tattoo before you leave Shreveport?
No. Just across his bottom lip, because scared money don't make money. You were hitting them with them zingers, cuz. I mean, I guess we need to wrap this thing up.
I want to know where the belt come from.
Well, the belt... Actually,
is it changing hands?
I think tonight, man, just because it's our first guest, special guest.
All right. I knew it had to happen.
Is this thing going to Tennessee?
The belt. I mean,
think Dee's going to have to bow out.
You need to explain to me what the belt is.
Okay, so the belt we got at the beginning of the podcast, this is the World Undisputed Championship belt. No regrets.
No regrets. Okay.
Yee S3 Nation. Like, this is the official podcast. And so, depending on how wild somebody gets, what they tear up, what they've done.
So that's first place.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, I mean,
and there is no seconds.
Yeah, it's first and only place.
Well, okay, because I've got motocross trophies. I got more trophies you can stack.
Yeah, but you don't have this belt.
Yeah, you ain't got one of these.
Are you trying to flex on us right now?
All I'm saying is, like, I have a stack of trophies you can't jump a show dog over. Most of them are like... second, third, fifth, and further back.
Hubert, not tonight, son.
This is the most prestigious.
Not tonight, son. Tonight, Hubert, you are awarded Undisputed Champion for accumulation things. First of all, you're the only person that agreed to come on our podcast. So don't...
We're going to go celebrate with some cream sodas and get screwed up like a cricket in a hubcap.
What? Oh, my God. So... this bad boy is yours, Hubert. Handing it up. Actually, D, you know what? You got to bow out.
Hubert, you better, you got to take care of this thing. I ain't super happy about giving it up. And actually, it'd be kind of like it's like it's both of ours. It'd be like it's both of ours. Even though you won, it'd be like it's both of ours. We're just gonna keep it in my office. So.
How does that work?
So you kind of won.
So how does that even work here? You want me to come over there so you can put it on me?
He's coming to you. He is coming to you.
I want to wear it.
Man, do we have a theme song or anything we can play?
Let me show you the proper ways.
No. You got to do.
Show you the proper ways to wear it. So you can wear it like this, right? Just straight flex like this.
Uh-huh.
Or if you're feeling real frisky,
Over the shoulder. Over the shoulder.
Look at D. Is he tearing up right now?
I like it.
I ain't happy about
The how-to on the belt. I like that.
D's had this thing. He's defended his title once before. Now he's handing it off.
You earned it, Hubert.
So I'll probably just take so we have a belt like this at Pastrana.
No, not like that. You
No,
don't.
you don't.
Similar.
No, nope.
Similar.
Nope,
but-
you don't.
Similar, but not.
I've never seen one like that ever.
There's a belt at Pastrana, and Street Bike Tommy pulls that every once in a while. And we'll just take a little glory ride from his book.
Look at the person he just turned into.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
And
into a nature
actually,
boy.
I think his is actually a little better.
Whoa.
Whoa, it ain't better.
Dude.
It ain't.
Walking around like,
Ooh.
Oh, you got the
the champion right here.
You remember what I was talking about? Humility and how I
I
appreciated
know.
that about Hubert?
Remember what we was talking about earlier about haters?
Yeah. Gone.
Hey, you're the one who you prescribed it.
Oh, man.
Hubert, wear it with pride.
Oh, I'm super proud.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to snake it out the door so you don't go chasing me. I'll actually wear it like this for the rest of the podcaster.
Man.
I'll be honest, it does look good on you.
It does.
I mean,
I feel like gold is your color.
well, thank you. I don't know what else to say, but thank you.
Hubert, got
Heck
thank you,
yeah.
buddy, for taking time to come in on the podcast, dude.
Hey, thank y'all so much. This is a awesome thing y'all putting on. Actually, I'll be honest. When I saw a post about I haven't listened to any of your podcasts.
Of course not.
I've probably only listened to 2 podcasts ever in my life.
Okay.
And I've been on just a handful of them, mostly about events and stuff like that. And when I saw y'all the podcast, I was like, oh, someone else is doing a podcast now.
Oh, my God.
But now that I've been on here and see what y'all are really, I mean, this is more lifestyle and kind of getting to know each other and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty awesome because like reporting, everything's got an agenda. And if it's about a certain event, you can really only do so much about the event.
Yep.
So this is pretty awesome.
So you've been on a couple of podcasts. You can be honest with us right now. What is your very favorite podcast you've ever been on? You can be honest.
Honestly,
The name of this one is called Checkers or Records.
Yeah, but you can be honest.
so like I've never physically like been to the recording. They've all been over the phone.
Oh, so it's no brainer. This one.
So
This is your-
so no brainer like this one for sure.
Oh, man. You killed it tonight, Hubert.
But awesome.
No regret.
Best podcast ever so far.
Yeah, you had some good stories, and I'm sure everybody could probably say the same thing. Like, it was cool to hear those stories because you feel like you get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if it was one-sided. I just
No, it's what you're the
I
guest.
enjoyed 'em.
You're the
it
guest.
felt like it was story time, and unfortunately for the girlfriend of my family, I've got more stories than a lifetime. So
Sorry. You've lived 10 lifetimes of everybody
no,
else, man.
I'm very grateful and thankful, and grateful for y'all, and thankful to be on here, and thankful for everything.
Yeah. You've done it, buddy. Proud of what you've done. I'm proud to call you a friend and that we could get you in here with us.
So we're gonna go ride around in that crazy loud truck with a trash can for exhaust.
We can freaking tear that thing up tonight.
Yeah, we'll go
okay.
drag racing.
4-wheel drive donuts.
Yes.
You got to wear the belt all night.
Yeah.
I'll wear the belt
2 dinner.
While you sleep.
while
too.
we're doing 4-wheel drive donuts.
We're going to take you to a nice dinner at Applebee's.
Seafood dinner,
Did you
nice
get a
seafood
reservation?
dinner.
Did you get a reservation?
We called ahead.
No, we in Louisiana, we don't do none of that stuff like they do out there.
There's
Out there, you act like I live in such a bigger area.
No, but you were at the same place we were.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah.
We've been to some of the same places. I think we all know what we're referring to.
Yeah.
Where?
There's an Applebee's near me.
Oh, man. Hubert killed it. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Checkers or Wreckers. You can check this one out on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We got it everywhere, so go check it out. You can listen, you can watch, and see our boy Hubert take home the World Championship belt.
Right here.
That's a wrap.